Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GMologist Presents. I have a special guest with me today, and that is Steve Grodzicki. Did I pronounce that correct?
Yeah, Grodzicki
Grodzicki,
usually. Yeah,
Grodzicki. I don't
yeah.
know why I threw the W in. Steve Grodzicki. He is, I guess, the lead creator in Pickpocket Press, and is has a recent product out, Tales of Argosa, as you can see here, which I did an unboxing of recently, and he has generously given his time to come and talk about gaming and, of course, Tales of Argosa, or LFG, low fantasy gaming. I guess that's what it was called before. Or if you play MMOs, looking for group, that's what I was. I would give. I give like the guy who brought me into this was Jason Hobbs. So, but before I get into that, how are you doing today, Steve? It looks like
Yeah,
the
really
thing's
well.
taken off. The thing's taken off right now.
It seems to be well received so far. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Carl. Good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've corresponded
Uh,
with you on Discord, and we know each other through Jason Hobbs of Hobbs and Friends. And he's the one who introduced me to low fantasy gaming and Tales of Argosa. I've played online and I played in person, like at some of the conventions we go to. So it's
yeah,
really good.
that's
It's really,
mad.
really amazing. So
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah,
yeah,
Hobbs is awesome.
yeah.
He's been playing LFG and Tales of Ghost and so on for a long time. I think he's easily the person who's playing it the most or running games the most.
Oh wow, that's
Certainly
pretty amazing.
online. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's crazy. So I owe him a great debt to be honest.
yeah. But we
And
definitely, with the interest that it seemed to get, at least because the book came out and I've been seeing it on the Discord, and that's kind of why I wanted to do the unboxing because I'm like, oh man, I have it in my box, but I haven't opened it yet. But everyone was kind of showing, and especially, um, I guess we could get into it at some point, but a lot of comments were like, wow, the layout is so clean, it's very nice. You have these like art pieces that are in there, like in this like black and white sort of sepia, and nothing too crazy, but they're like this one's, I don't know if it'll show up on, but that's the orc one is amazing.
oh
I mean,
yeah,
that
that's one of
creature,
Marston's ones.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
he did
pretty,
quite a
it's
few.
a beautiful book. It's a, but not ostentatious, I guess, but a beautiful book, very purposeful. Everyone has very much commented. I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but I'm just lauding about the book. But everyone's commented on like the end papers. Yeah, usually there's
Oh
like a
yeah.
map or something, but the end papers have like charts, and they're really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
They're really good. So we'll talk about maybe
Yeah.
how that came about or that development and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
they're really great. So I guess before we get into the new cool product that you've developed, let's talk about, because I've only met you through correspondence and Discord. What's your origin story? How'd you get into the hobby? And I think eventually, hopefully, you'll get to, like, we're all fans, right? So it's like if we make a sports analogy, we're all fans and we watch and we play, maybe amateurishly, but you became a player. You're a player now. You're a creator. So how does that work? What's the transition? How did you
Uh,
start? So you're,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, the start was I started out with I guess choose your own adventure books and fighting fantasy books.
Oh,
Do you know
cool. Yeah,
the fighting fantasy? Yeah.
yeah, I know what they
Yep,
are. I've
yep.
never, but I hear, I mean, a lot of
Oh,
people. So I've never, I remember Choose Your Own Adventure, but those were like just the little paperbacks. But
yeah.
these fighting fantasy, right? I've just heard wonderful tales about them, but not really in the U.S., mainly from people in England, Europe, and I guess
Yeah, right. Maybe they weren't.
Australia, New Zealand. Um, so,
Yeah. Maybe they weren't
so
that big in the US, but for me, I didn't read much at all. And around third grade, fourth grade, I discovered the Choose Your Own Adventure books in the school library.
hmm.
Cool. Started reading because you got all these choices. And then one of my mates actually at school in about fourth grade got a fighting fantasy book. And I think it was Forest of Doom, which has this amazing cover
Hmm.
of a spooky forest and this lizard creature like transforming um, into this beastie thing. And he was like, oh, that's cool. And it's got dice, and you make a character and you've got a sword and all this stuff. And it just really clicked for me.
Hmm.
And so then I was buying it was a bit of a thing with my group of friends where everyone was buying them. And anyway, I came home with one that I borrowed, and my dad was like, oh, Stephen's reading. What the hell's going on here? And as soon as dad found out that I was reading, he went and bought like 10 of them and went, boom, here you go. And I was like,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah.
And I was into it. And so I really have, that's right. The whole reading and writing really, because it all goes together. The more you read, the better the writer you are. It all stemmed from that, frankly. Yeah. Fourth grade, really fighting fantasy kicked it off. And then from there, by the time we hit high school, year seven over here, there was one of my mates got the red box, BX red box, and or basic red box, isn't it?
Oh, the
And
basic
then
one. That was the, is that which, is that
with
the,
the
that's the
yeah, the
easy?
classic like the warrior and the dragon on
Oh,
the
that's
cover.
the Menser, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had that, and then okay, that was it. It was like we're into this. There was Dragon Warriors at the same time, which was a paperback. I forget how many books there was then. I don't think there was that many, but it ended up being a 6 book series, and we were. I was playing that a lot with my brothers actually, the Dragon Warriors, and then playing D&D with my mates. So that was sort of the origin, I
Also,
suppose. And then
so
we played that for
early
years and
80s
years.
and early 80s,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. Around so for D&D would have been around 87. I thought, I
Okay.
guess 87, 88.
Late 80s. Okay. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and then we very quickly though, like basic was that's basic, and there was this other game called Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So we were like quickly made the transition into that. For better or worse, ultimately, I don't know, but we played 2E because by the time we got to it, it was second edition,
Okay.
AD&D, and we played that for like 14 years or something, for years and years and years. That was our main game,
Yeah.
and then we branched off into Shadowrun and Werewolf and other Immortal and Earthdawn, Cyberpunk 2020, like all these other games eventually found their way in.
Yeah.
Um, and then in terms of the transition to trying to make a game, that all came about because I played every edition. So we played fourth. We actually played fourth for like, I know a lot of people skip fourth, but we played it for like 3 years. It's fun in its own way, but it's different kind of game.
It lasted about
Anyway,
that. It lasted about that long.
oh yeah, it probably did. You know what? It probably did. And then
2008 to 2010 is like when it
yeah,
was, and then they,
yeah,
then, oh no, 2010 was the essential. So no, it lasted about 6 years. Okay.
yeah. Okay,
2014
okay.
was when fifth edition came out. So, right.
Right. Well, we were getting a bit sick of fourth, and
Hmm.
then because in that game, your characters all felt a bit the same by the end of it, just the way that the structure of the powers or the abilities worked. Um, but anyway, we sort of were looking for something more old school, and then 13th Age came out. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen
Hmm.
that, but that's
Yeah,
an
it's kind of like a
awesome,
fourth edition.
awesome
Yeah, it's a
game.
fourth edition kind of engine in a
It's
way.
it's a mix of it. Yeah, there's a bit of fourth edition style abilities in there, but there's just all this other cool stuff. Um, and that was part of it. That was a big inspiration on going and making low fantasy gaming, which then of course became Tales of Argosa or LFG2E. But yeah, 13th Age, played that for a while, and then fifth edition did come out, and I wanted to play Primeval Thule, which was it's a
Yep.
very sword and sorcery setting by Sasquatch Games. I don't know if they're still around or not. I'm not
I
sure,
don't know.
but
I mean, I know those authors are still around freelancing, but I do.
oh yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if the studio.
I don't have a. There probably is a copy behind me somewhere on the
Oh
shelf,
right,
but I do. I
yeah.
know what you're talking about. I do have it. I like it. I like the verse. It's very interesting, right? It's that kind of. It's got a sword and sorcery vibe, and
Really strong, yeah, primordial
I
world
love the
and
maps. I'm always interested in
wilderness.
or attracted to maps, and I love the Thule. That's how I
Yeah.
pronounce it, Thule. The
Oh right, yeah. Oh yeah. I just say Thor, but
Yeah, I know. Me too.
I'm probably doing it wrong. But anyway, I wanted to play
Most
that. I wanted to
yeah.
GM that for the guys, and we had it was like a fifth edition version or something,
Yeah, there's
and the
like
fifth
the
edition
Pathfinder,
rules
then the fifth edition. Yeah.
just did not mesh with the way it was described at all. Really, the
So
magic
what
was
was the disconnect, if you don't mind me
well,
asking?
mainly the lack of deadliness,
Hmm.
and also the way that magic in D&D is very predictable and safe and always work subject to saving throws. And the way that Primeval Thule described magic was much more dangerous and unreliable and unpredictable. And so, yeah, what I started doing was I had a website called D&D Hackers Guild. It's still there. And you could actually go back there and see. I just started
Is
making
it
all these
still this? The
5e
link still active?
conversions.
We can link
It's
in the show
just,
notes.
it's still there, I think.
Got the link in the show.
And,
I'll check it out. D&D.
oh, right, yeah. But I just started making all these conversions of D&D. So I want to take some of the magic out of the game for a start, because the Primeval Thule magic was rare, right? Not
Right.
everybody had it. So I made a sort of spellless ranger, spellless bard, and then I went, right, I needed some kind of table to make magic dangerous. So I made the dark and dangerous magic table, stuck that in there. And ultimately what happened, I was changing so many things, changed rules about getting injuries when you get reduced to 0 hit points. And I changed so many things. I went, you know what? I might as well just make a whole new, I'm not new. I might as well make this a separate little game of its own. And so that's how Low Fantasy Gaming came about, because there was the OGL then, of course, very generous license.
Yeah.
I mean, OGL's still around, but we've sort of moved away. We've moved away from that after the OGL fiasco.
Yeah,
a few years ago.
about a year ago, right? About a year ago.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think it might be a bit longer than that. But anyway, once that happened, and I think a lot of the indie guys moved away from
2 years ago, I think.
OGL at that stage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's basically how it came about. And then very luckily, I think there was enough people looking for some kind of similar Aloha Magic game that the free PDF version of Low Fantasy Gaming sort of got out there into the wilderness.
Yeah.
And started popping up, in occasional forums and things. And so by the time I rolled around to do a Kickstarter to give it sort of some different art and expand on it and all that, there was enough people who were looking for it that was able to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sort of just tried
the first one,
yeah, tried to sort of keep it going. And sometimes these things work and sometimes they don't, because we did Low Fantasy Gaming Companion a little bit later, just extra rules and a few other bits and pieces. And then we did Low Life 2090, which is like a Shadowrun / cyberpunk mashup thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I tried to do a board game called Old Mage, where you run around and sort of a cross between Talisman and Hero Quest. Well, that's what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
But that did not get made because I just couldn't find the audience for it. Although I love the idea of it and threw all this money into it, it just didn't get there. And then okay, it's not time for that. And anyway, doubled down on my efforts with RPGs, and Tales of Igosa was born.
Yeah. So what is the big? Well, I guess maybe for our listeners who have not had the is it not privilege really, but what is it? Have not had the fun and excitement or the luck of playing Tales of Argosa or Low Fantasy Gaming. What's like the elevator pitch? You're in the elevator with a bunch of probably 5e players, because that's usually what you see, and they look at the cover of your book and, oh man, that's pretty cool. You got this giant worm or snake attacking people. What's this game about? Why should I play it? Should I sign up for your game?
Yeah, you should. I would say, well, it's a sword and sorcery inspired game. It's much deadlier, much more dangerous game than 5e. If I'm going to compare it to 5e, is what the elevator guys know.
Yeah.
It's much more dangerous. Magic's rarer, but it's powerful, and it's also unpredictable. And you can get, can corrupt you and give you mutations and summon monsters from, other dimensions if you do it wrong. And this focus is on, it's got a much narrower focus on just the player characters at hand and their personal stories and their, objectives and challenges. It's not, you're not saving the world. You're not doing any of these very high level things that you end up doing in sort of 5th edition. It's much more focused on personal stories like Conan or Farford Grey Mouser and, those sorts of individual stories. yeah, that's how I try and sell it to them, and then
That's cool. Yeah, that's good. That's
see what
good. Did
happens.
you ever familiar with the game called Riddle of Steel? I don't know if you.
I know it. I know
Yeah.
it. I haven't
No,
actually played it, but I know it.
yeah. So I mean that kind of caught my attention when you said personal stories, right? Because much like the kind of motivations and stuff that you have, they would have that sort of thing in Riddle of Steel is kind of that's how the game was in a way based. You had every player had an agenda, and then they would actually gain experience or be rewarded milestones for following that agenda, right?
Right, right, right.
Right. So, and that was to me one of the best. I used Riddle of Steel for a game in Harn World.
Oh yeah, I know how long.
Yeah. Oh, good. We can talk about that too. Right, because system agnostic would anyway. I'm
Yeah,
getting ahead of myself again, but Riddle of Steel was amazing because I didn't really have anything like adventure path planned or adventures that I was running. It was kind of like these are the motivations your players came up with. They found a few ideas here and there, when they read through some of let's say if this guy was from this country, this is some of the stuff that's going on, and this is what you rolled up, and hey, how does this work? And he's like, oh, that sounds great. And then they just go and run with it, and they develop an agenda. So we had like a sorcerer, a legionnaire, a thief, like in the guild, um, and a barbarian, right? And they like for someone from the barbarian tribes, right? So I say
it's a good
barbarian,
mix.
yeah. And the adventures just went like in such cool directions, you know.
I love that. I love that idea. I mean, I really like that idea where you've got a built-in motivation from the start or a little goal to
Yeah,
pursue. And there's a few games that do that these days. Like Beyond the Wall, I'm sure has
yeah.
something like that when you create your character and you create this sort of
The
little bit of the
group, right? The
village,
group
and
has
you've got yeah, they've got their sort of connections and some kind of objective already. The individual guys, and who else does that? Pendragon, I think, might have. I forget now. Does it have something like
Well,
that? I think it
Pendragon
might
is
have
more
something
like
like
based
that.
on the family and your legacy, but there's definitely goals in mind with that. But I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
Warhammer Fantasy had a very like for the group, there's like short-term and long-term goals for the individual and the group. That's like the very like low-level basic type thing.
yep,
But I think
yep,
what's
yep.
great, it's like the term Hob uses a lot, emergent, right? Did my best emergent, right? It's emergent play because you're like, let's see what the players want to do, and I think that's something I did because I have had I've had played so something I really have liked is sort of the stunts. You see, combat.
Right.
I feel like I like a game where you can make meaningful decisions and they have an outcome, right? So like this, I love the stunts in combat that you have put into the. It
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
combat more than just a roll hit, right? It
yeah.
takes
Oh, definitely the exploits, the
yeah
minor exploits, and
exploits, yeah,
the major exploits. I think are a major part of the fun, and also the actual gameplay because you do have to make decisions. There is a risk to them in the sense that if you don't manage to do it, we can't try again. That
yeah,
you can't do any more minor exploits at combat, so you've got to sort of pick your time.
yeah,
And of course, the major exploits where you're cutting off limbs or whatever cost a point of luck, and luck is extremely precious.
yeah.
And then the rescue, we actually I changed that in this edition to be just one per adventure
Mhm.
because in LFG you could do it as much as you liked. I mean, it still cost a point of luck, so there was a
Mhm.
limit on it. But when you've got 5 characters and they all start with 11 luck,
Yeah.
that's actually quite a large pool
Hmm.
to draw on over the course of a short adventure. And most of these, one of the things that I've tried to home in on is making the game more dangerous or a little bit more gritty. And in order to do that, I think the rescue's still cool, still good to have it in there. And if you've got 5 characters where you got 5 potential rescues up your
Hmm.
sleeve, that seemed to be enough. But yeah, of course, those exploits were inspired by naturally, you know, dungeon crawl classics and its
Yeah, sorry, I
mighty
used the wrong terminology. Mighty
deed
Deeds.
of arms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stunts.
yeah,
I feel like stunts is from something too, though. But
that's from I think Fantasy Age, which is also has a very awesome
yeah,
system where
yeah,
you
Fantasy
roll the
Age.
3d6,
Right,
and
right.
if the colored die gets a 6 or something, you get a
Yeah,
stunt. I
yeah,
love that too,
yeah,
just to
yeah. I
break
like the
up the
exploits.
flow of
That's neat.
things.
I like the
Yeah,
resource management too, because again, it's like, do I push my luck now, or do I save it for later? And I guess like in
Yeah,
a convention game, of course, is different than like a ongoing series of
yeah,
adventures, right? But like in a convention game, it's right. Like I'm sure you've been in a DCC game where, all right, mage burn. Now I got three
yeah. Oh,
strength because I don't care, right?
mages get crazy in
Yeah, yeah,
DCC, and especially in one shots like that.
yeah. But
Uh, and you get the same issue in Toa, I suppose, where you got luck to burn and
yeah,
it's a one-off session. Yeah, you don't have to worry too much.
yeah.
Oh, not
That's
as
the
much.
fun of it though. But in an ongoing,
Yeah.
like multiple session adventure, you kind of really do. It
Oh yeah,
definitely
for
is
sure.
becomes about, and I kind of like that, you know. I like that sort of resource management. I know some people don't care for it, and I know it is sometimes hard in a convention game. I know, say like a survival game like Twilight 2000, where you got to keep track of rations and food and fuel and ammo. And people go, oh, I don't want to do that. Just give
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
just give me usage dice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, sometimes you prefer just a real simple way of managing those things where you don't have to think too much, and then other times it's half the game. Like when you're playing Shadowrun, it's really important. What equipment are you taking with you?
Mhm.
What's the plan? Who's got the jammers? Who's got the grapple gun? Like all this stuff. Um, yeah, so just personal preference, of course.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so you think so so Tales of Argosa, I know you mentioned somewhere either on the blog or somewhere, probably one of your on your blog on the Pickpocket Press site, that there's something else coming down, I guess Argosa, like we're gonna define what Argosa is, right, at some point. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there's that
The
that's coming. But before you talk about that, because that'd be cool if you can, if you'd like to. Um, if this were just a rule set uh, detached from Argosa, do you think you could use it in Primeval Tule or
Oh,
Harn, for
definitely.
example?
Oh, I think absolutely it would fit that world really well. I mean, there's
Which
some.
one? Tule? Both? You think? Or
Well, I think, yeah, certainly, Primeval Thule. I think it would fit that world very well. And then what was the
okay,
other one you
good.
mentioned?
Harn World.
Oh, Han. Yeah, it would fit that as well. Except I think, well, I mean,
The
the
magic school
magic
thing.
is a
Yeah,
bit weird. Yeah, I
yeah.
think you'd have to either. I think you would probably eliminate the dark and dangerous magic rule. You'd probably just get rid of it and
Hmm.
instead just have
Well, you still got
the
to, and
spellcasting check.
I feel like I had this discussion with somebody recently when we are talking about magic and game systems. I think like D&D is the only one you really don't have to roll to see if your magic goes off, right?
Yeah.
Because like, well, I mean, D&D variants like DCC, obviously, and this one, Tales of Bargosa as well. But like most other games, even if you find a spell in Call of Cthulhu, you got to roll to see if it works. Like Warhammer
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy, and then there's Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40K. You got to roll to see if it goes off, and bad things can happen, right? So I
Yeah,
think it's
I think you're
so
probably right
most
about
games are
that.
like that, where
Yeah.
so it's really so I guess that's the I think the discussion was, well, how come, people complain a lot that in not necessarily in this game, but in other games that I've heard where, oh, well, magic should just be, a sure thing. It's math, right? But you got the element of chaos is kind of fun. I mean, that's kind of
Oh,
to me, that's from the literature, right? I mean,
yeah, totally.
going to, right,
Yeah, I think so.
Roger
It's
Zelazny, Farfad and the Gray Mouser, right? The
yeah,
chaos is magic is chaos, right? So,
absolutely. I think that's the fun of the magic. If the magic's too predictable and certain, it's just another form of technology, right? It's just like having a gun or having a grenade or whatever.
mhm.
It's very, I don't know. For me, yeah, it's much more fun when there's that chaos factor. Yeah, where
Yeah,
something can go horribly wrong.
yeah.
Some of the most fun moments in the gaming has been when stuff's gone horribly wrong with the magic. They summon some horrible creature, but it just causes the whole bad battle at the time to just everyone flees, everyone runs for it,
Yeah,
just
right.
completely different dynamic gets brought in. But yeah, I think for me, it's much more I do enjoy it much more when your magic could go really well, could go poorly, could go in between, rather than sort of much more certain
And is that always the
outcomes.
case, or like if you get higher levels, it's become more predictable? I mean, I don't.
You do get a little bit better. So one of the things we did change actually was in LFG, it was a D20 roll, and the chance of dark and dangerous magic effect was 1 in 20, but each time you cast or used a magic item, it kept going up. So it goes to 2, to 3, to 4, to 5, until you trigger it, and then it goes back down to 1. But in Toa, because I'm focusing on the shorter adventures and so on, I've changed it to a D8. You only start with a D8 and you roll that. So there's a much smaller band before you're going to trigger something. And then when you get to 4th level, I think it becomes a D10, then becomes a
Oh, okay, that's
D12.
good. It
Yeah,
shows
by the
some
time the
progression
7th, it's
in
a
the ability
D12. Yeah,
to
so
handle.
as a magic user, you do get better at controlling it. And also I think at 5th level, the magic user can start to use they get the staff of power or something anyway, and they can use their reroll pool to reroll. I don't think to trigger it, but to whatever the result is, you can re-roll it. So you might get something not so awful. But yeah, so you do get a bit better at controlling it as you go up.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, all right. So then what's down the pipeline for Toa, I should call it, Tales of Bargosa.
Yeah. At the moment I am, because we went with a offset print book this time, through the Kickstarter anyway. I now have all these wonderful options open to me, or we do, in terms of making other things. Because with print on demand, you've got a very limited number of things that you can make, or at least through Drive-Through RPG, you can basically only make books and cards. But now that we've learned how to use the Affinity Suite, and which all sort of came about actually as a result of trying to make the board game.
Interesting.
But because we've got these proper publishing programs now, and we've got a proper printer, they can do, GM screens, they can do boxes, they can do maps, like poster-size maps. We've got dice. We know how to do the dice now with Q Workshop. Got cards, obviously. So what I'm currently in progress is a box, what I hope will be a box set, like in the 2E style of Dark Sun and Planescape and all that.
That sounds fascinating.
Just for the
I
love
those. Yeah, I love that stuff.
I had so many of those. I think I nearly got them all when I was younger.
Yeah, I really enjoyed.
If I didn't, my friends and I, between us, we I think had all of them.
Yeah, I have like a whole stack, like above the shelf. There's a whole stack.
Oh yeah, you still got them.
Yeah, I still got a bunch. I have. Well, I can look, if I look at my shelf, I can see like all my Al-Qadim stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, all in little boxes, and the big box for the main world, and then the big city, right?
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I think it's sort of coming back, in a way. Well, Dungeon Crawl Classics has had a couple boxes, or Goodman has had, but then like the Twilight 2000 stuff, the stuff from Free League, the new edition, they have like a box for the main set. Urban Operations is a box, and that's kind of like Free City or Krakow.
Oh, right,
and then they have a box for Black Madonna, and then for so there are some little boxes, and they have like 3 or 4 little books, and other than the starter sets is something different. But I still have my old Night Below set somewhere too. So
of course.
Yeah. So
well, I certainly have Dark Sun. I don't have them anymore. I have the Dark Sun.
I do have the Dark Sun. I did
Planescape Dark Sun.
Yeah.
Well, that was an awesome one.
Yeah.
The Planescape one was amazing. Yeah. The Spelljammer one, I don't know if I had that one. One of our mates might have got it, but I just love there's multiple books in there. There's the big maps.
Yeah, the big maps.
And I think these days, and it's funny you say Free League because, frankly, I see them as an inspiration, Free League, and what they've been able to do. But their box sets are through, I think anyway, and in recent times at least, I know they're using Standard Impressor, which is the same printer we use to make Tales of Argosa. So if they can make those sort of box sets, and such awesome box sets, I'm very confident that, we'll be able to make something similar. And what I had in mind was like, a player's guide, GM guide with lots of, adventures in there, then a big poster-sized hex map that you can explore, and it's all keyed.
Nice.
And then we'll throw in, some goodies on top of that, like cards, dice, or whatever it's going to be. I don't know, but there'll be other stuff in there, pre-gens. So that's what I've got planned anyway, which is whether it will come to fruition.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
sounds
know, but
fascinating, fantastic.
that's what's in the works.
Yeah, yeah. So that's cool. So yeah, I am looking forward to that. I love collecting worlds. I know there's this guy recently too. Yes, this guy did he do a box set? No, he didn't. This guy DM Dave, I don't know, he does 5e
Oh yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yep, yep,
he
yep.
did his like little box set of his world. So I collect those things, I guess.
All
So
right,
I'm
okay,
so the
yeah. Well,
Omeria setting or something. So
okay, okay. Yeah, there is actually already, because in 2017 I did the Midland. It's called the Midlands Low Magic Sandbox Setting
yeah.
book, and it's the Midlands of Argosa.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so this box set would basically be a revamp of that. But I'll my plan anyway is to make it more sword and sorcery style, more, a little bit, some more alien esque essence, elements to it, um, and then just a bit of a general revamp and obviously new art and all that, bits and pieces. So
Yeah,
yeah, there is already a Argosa world there, but it's a little bit dated. 2017, I guess not that old. It's only
not that old.
27 years. Yeah,
7, 8 years.
yeah.
Yeah. All
Mm.
right. So I did mention the end caps, the end covers. So how did that idea
Oh
come
yeah.
about? And then the other thing I want to talk about, because you mentioned the cards and dice, I do want to talk about your oracles, the oracle tools. But
Yeah, yeah.
yes, but yeah. So what was like? Why did you decide to do that? I just cool.
Well,
I like it. It's cool. I mean, like it has even
I,
the exploits and everything. It's like a
yeah, yeah. It's basically the GM screen.
yeah,
So the
totally.
GM screen is for free on drive-through. You can download it. I mean, the PDF of it. You
Yeah,
gotta
you
have a
gotta. Yeah, then you
physical
have like
GM
a
screen.
thing that you can slot. I have
Yeah,
like a
you slot
big
in.
thing
That's what I've
slot.
got. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just take them in and out depending what game I'm playing. But
Mhm.
and I basically that's in a landscape format,
Okay.
and pretty much we changed it around to being. And that reminds me, I've got to update this. I've got to update that GM screen and put the portrait version
Portrait version.
on there. Yeah, because we made the portrait version now. It's very similar. It's not exactly the same, but most of
Mhm.
the same stuff that is on the GM screen is
Mhm.
on these pages. And this actually became possible because we, in actual fact, my original plan was not to go with these printers, it was to go with some other printers. And I won't name any names, but basically when it came time to actually print the books, the printer increased their price by like 60%. And I was
Mhm.
like, Jesus, that's just not feasible. So I had to look around, and luckily, I found these other awesome printers, and they could do printing in the covers in the end papers. And I was like, oh well, Ben, we will definitely take advantage of that. And so
Oh,
I thought,
neat.
oh well,
Yeah.
we'll put basically the GM screen in there, because I think that's the sort of thing, when you're playing, if you quickly need the trauma tables, they're on the back there, or if you want to
Yeah.
roll up a
I love the
NPC, there's a little bit there,
yeah, the
you can play
NPC
with
quick and
that, or
dirty generator. Great tool
yeah.
for the you even have the names. You even have the names. That's the worst thing. Okay, what's the
Oh yeah.
innkeeper's name? Oh, I gotta look at my fantasy generator. That's awesome. Just roll the dice. All right, that's great. Great GM tool. So
Yeah.
the GM doesn't break immersion. And goes, yeah, if his name is, yeah, and then I like the intelligent creatures, like what they're, but
Oh yeah.
it's good. I think I like Tales of Argosa and the way it plays because there's a lot. I can see a lot of things like, oh man, that's kind of takes inspiration from that game, and that's awesome that it's in here, right? So like you've expanded, for example, in looking at the activity for the creatures, like what's the creatures, not just their status, like just the 2d6 die roll from your action table, but okay, well then in that, what are they going to do? Right. So
Yeah.
what's their action? So that's really
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
That's to me, it's harkens to Traveler. I don't know if you're familiar with
All
Traveler, but
right. I haven't played Traveller. I've read, through it. I've
yeah.
read parts of it, and especially the life path,
Oh,
the
yeah.
start where you
Yeah.
can famously die as you create your character.
Yeah.
So I've definitely read parts of it. But yeah, that activity die, that relates to that activity die, which, it's just
Yeah.
a D6, frankly, but we
Yeah.
did make a
D6.
little
Yeah. It's nice.
um,
Yeah.
icon thing for it. But so
Yeah,
you can roll
what are they
your
doing? What are they gonna do? It kind of helps to increase immersion, because then you can describe the action of the creature, or you can
yeah
decide how the creature's gonna attack, or what its modus operandi is, which is really neat.
yeah
And then, like you
basically.
said, you have all the trauma tables here on there, and then on the front you have like kind of a lot of a lot of helps for combat, all the weapon damage, things for like chases, the skill list, very important skill list on a GM screen. Um, yeah, so this, and then you have the great success, terrible failures, and how that goes and stuff like that too. So I think it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Just some of the hopefully practical rules or shortened versions of tables to hopefully save the GM time. You know, you can quickly just go to the cover rather than trying to find it in the. Although you know what, I end up putting sticky notes in all my rule books anyway
Yeah,
for combat and
sure.
magic and all that. So I end up doing it that way. But you know, I think they could still save some time.
Hmm. I did. You have like guns in this game,
Yes,
or rules for
that's under
guns.
the naval combat
Yeah,
section
I
because
know.
I thought,
Interesting.
yeah,
So I guess you're going away from the sword and sorcery, or
yeah. Well, that's one aspect I was going to talk about briefly is that I, I have included some things in there that are sort of beyond the usual scope of sword and sorcery. So it, technically, I would say it's a sword and sorcery inspired
okay.
emergent play adventure game. But what I usually have done in there is said, oh look, and for example, also you've got the artificer who's like
Yeah.
the class that is like the tinkerer inventor who can have a gun or who can have a chain sword basically.
Hmm.
But so with those kinds of things, I have generally put a little. And also the races. I mean, because there are, I have put in there. You know, humans are the default, but your GM might allow other races, and then so there's elves, dwarves, halflings, half spawn.
Mhm.
But yeah, what I've generally said is that check with your GM if these things are going to be allowed in
Yeah.
your game because the default is that it's humans and the default is that there are not black powder weapons. But if you want to play a more pirate themed game, later on in different sort of style of setting, we can still do it with this rule system.
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so there's that, and then okay, so I was gonna talk about the Oracle tools because I was like, wow, we got cards and like a set of almost like a tarot cards, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
and then the dice, the dice with the symbols on them. So I think those are really great because I did read like the solo rules, your one page solo rules. So you could definitely use the Oracle for that. But how would you use that? Like how would you if you're running this game? How would you use it in play? Like I mean, I can read it, but it'd be cool to hear
Yeah, yeah.
the other
Oh, I
side.
mean, it's easy. It's like whenever you have whenever some situation is happening, and you've only got the sort of bare bones of it, like for example, an old school random encounter table, wandering monster table, or random encounter table, whatever. Say you roll up, 2D 20 orcs, you roll it up, it's 20 orcs, and that's the only information you're getting. You can go to the deck of signs, which is the sort of open question card oracle,
Mhm.
where it's got all the nouns, verbs, and all that. And you could find out more about that situation. Okay, so we've got 20 orcs here. We're in the mountains. Draw two cards from your deck and see what it all means. So you could get your cards out, draw two cards.
Yeah,
I don't know if this will come
you
up.
can
It
show them.
probably
No,
won't
you
come
can
up.
show them. Yeah, yeah. Go
Oh,
ahead.
so okay. I need to have a look first.
Uh,
Dragons. Okay. Oh yeah.
yeah,
So
cool.
you
Very
get some
nice.
orcs in this in the mountains,
Uh,
and you want to know more about them, and you can go, okay, well, we've got searching up here, so maybe these orcs are searching for something. And I do generally recommend combining two words
yeah,
from two different cards just to make it a bit easier to pull up a prompt. But you could just go, well, they're searching for someone, and then you might have, oh, I don't know. Well, this one is all about romance and stuff, really, or relationships. So maybe, the orc chieftain's wife or one of his wives or whatever is missing,
Yeah.
and they're searching for her. And so there you go. Straight away, just by pulling these cards, you've got this little story
Yeah.
for these
What's
orcs
their,
who
what are they
are in the
doing?
mountains. Yeah, yeah. And then you can roll roll your normal reaction die, roll the activity die if you want, if you come across, if you want to know more about what they're doing at this exact moment. Are they resting? Are they on the trail, or are they arguing about something?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically how it works. And I've done a few little videos, solo videos, where I've used the cards and the dice and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's mainly where I think they're helpful. Yeah,
That'd
if
be
you're
kind
with
of
a
fun,
group
like in
there.
play too, like because you're doing a exploration, you roll randomly, like you said. Man, so why are they here? They're
Yeah,
random, I know, but and they don't have to be. But it really helps with like because players will ask like, this is kind of so what's going on? What are they here? What and then at the end, like what do they have? And actually, that could probably inform like any
yeah,
clues or what they had, and then of course it could lead to the proverbial side quest, right? So well,
yeah,
this seems
yeah,
more interesting.
absolutely.
Why is this like what is this orc chieftain? Who's missing or what's going on? And that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
So,
that's exactly how it tends to pan out.
yeah,
Sometimes you draw cards and you're like, I can't make this work. but but generally speaking, you can get something
I
useful
could
out of
see
it.
that how that could be fun for like also random adventure generation,
Mm.
right? So like what are these players are going through this hex? There's really nothing there. Let's kind of come up with a little adventure. Who's there,
Yeah,
you
totally,
encounter,
totally.
what are they there for, right? So that's kind of
Yeah,
neat.
we've got speaking of random adventures, there's a random dungeon generator in the book. So I think there's in the solo section, you've got those couple of pages of a lone wolf character and so on, and playing published adventures,
Yeah.
and then the next 4 pages are a dungeon generator, and those tables include some reference to using the dice and using the cards.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. So it all sort of builds on, and of course other tables in the book. So it all sort of builds on. Yeah, it doesn't look like much. It only looks like 4 pages of tables, but those tables reference the treasure tables, the tables reference the cards, the tables reference the spell list. All so it's more it's more versatile than it looks on the face of it.
Yeah, and you had like several of these what you're calling the Argotha adventures. There's like you have a term for them.
Oh yeah, yep. Just recently, um, I've
Well,
started with this new format.
yeah, so that I have they're part of the Kickstarter, at least the PDFs, but then the print on demand, which is actually very, very generous. I know people are like, oh, print on, you still got to pay for it, but it's really pretty generous, guys. Seriously, it's really good. So anyway, so like I have the Crypt of Kursaba and the Caverns of Shinog, and I have the Bell ones coming soon.
Right.
Yeah, but so are these are set in Argotha somewhere? We're gonna have like a locate because it's kind of generic, right? In a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. From memory, they are in the sense that I just refer to, like it might be the Iron Hole Mountains or the Wistwood or something, which are
Yeah, I
just
love
named
that.
places in the Midlands. Yeah, so they are technically set there, but obviously you could put them
Yeah.
in any setting
Place anywhere in
as long as
forest
you.
terrain, someplace not
Yeah,
easily
yeah,
accessed. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's good. No, that's really good. 'Cause I really appreciate it. This kind of goes back to like an old school sensibility, where the play comes from the adventures, and you don't have like the world book yet. But then and of course you could put it anywhere. But then if you're playing in the Midlands and like this is where you're starting, and kind of grow, the world grows through the adventures. I've always liked that approach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah, for sure.
that's why I really enjoyed Greyhawk a lot. When I was growing up, for example, or even the known worlds, because it was all told. I mean, you just had a map in the book, right? In the basic book, and then
I I didn't see much. I have to say, I didn't end up in all my years of playing. I haven't had much to do with Greyhawk. I did buy.
huh.
It was called the Ashes of Greyhawk or something. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah, it was
after
like
some
after the
massive
wars
war.
and stuff. Yeah, after
Yeah,
the
yeah. I got that box set, and there was like, there was like Ios or something. There was some
Yeah.
demon guy. There was some main evil guy.
Hmm.
And then there was all these different factions and so on. And it did seem very awesome, but I never actually got to play it. I
Yeah.
mean, I know about it. It's
You also
obviously
did your
I
homebrew
know a lot
stuff,
more
or you
now,
played
but
it? You do your homebrew, or did you do?
oh, we were mostly doing Forgotten Realms, I have to
Okay.
say,
Yeah.
or Forgotten Realms, Dark Sun, Planescape, and we played a little bit of Spelljammer as well.
Yeah.
Those were the main worlds we were in. Yeah, so we actually didn't do a lot of home brewing. I mean, we did muck around with our own stuff, bits and
Yeah.
pieces, but a lot of it was drawn from the source books. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's just really neat that early on, when they had these AD&D and basic modules, it's kind of like I'm sure they had an idea what the world looked like, but maybe they didn't. But then the kind of world grew from those
yeah,
adventures, right? So I thought that was pretty neat. So
yeah. The first adventure I ever got was Secret of Bone Hill, I think it was called.
oh
Had
wow,
this blue
yeah.
cover,
The
and that
Leonore
was
Islands, it
an
says. Yeah. Where's that?
yeah, that was an amazing. I remember reading through it, going, "This is so awesome! There's so much detail in here. All the characters have names. They got their stats. They got their little magic items and stuff." I was blown away. I was
Yeah,
blown away, and it
that's
was a
cool.
really cool. You could just wander around, do whatever you want. There's obviously all these hooks and things to explore, but there was no, from memory anyway, there was no like plot quest hitting you over the head. You just did what you wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like an adventure site almost. Um,
yeah,
and I
yep.
kind of like how they did that. How Cubicle first Seven did that first with One Ring, and now Free League with their One Ring products. That it's
Right,
just
right.
these are just locate. They have some adventures, but really you could just explore the map that they give you and go to these locations and
Yeah.
sites and stuff. So I like
I
that.
love that. I love that too. That is a big inspiration there. Forbidden Lands
Yeah,
box set, which I've got.
yeah,
That's an amazing system and
hmm
just all everything. I love that.
hmm
Dragonbane, I also love. That's a different
hmm
style of
yeah,
game. I
yeah,
prefer I prefer the adventures in Forbidden Lands, but Dragonbane is also really nice.
yeah.
And then I most recently got their Moria book.
Oh,
Um,
the One Ring.
the
That's
One
so
Ring. I don't
good.
have the One Ring system. I just played it with Tales of Argosa, actually.
Oh,
uh,
there you go.
yeah,
That's
and
cool.
it worked. It worked very well.
Oh, there you
But
go.
the but yeah, because I really Moria is my favorite part of the books and
Hmm.
the movies,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't resist. It cost a fortune to send it to me in
Mhm.
Australia. Um,
Oh,
but it
that's
was
a
totally worth it. There's so many amazing maps and just
mhm.
so much in that book.
Yeah, that's really neat. Yeah, I went all in on that and I got the big cloth maps and everything.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That would have been impressive.
Yeah,
Even the fold out map is awesome. The
yeah.
big poster sort of
So
size map
cool.
looks
Yeah.
really nice too. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really
they did
good.
a
I mean,
great
like
job.
I also have the I don't know how I got it, but I have had it for a long time is the MERP version of Moria, and it has all the maps
Okay.
too. So, it's a good
Oh
companion.
right.
So I have
Okay.
so much resource. I really want to get there, but we'll see. I just started a One Ring campaign, but that's another
All right.
story. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool that you're able to use Tales of Argosa again. Plug Tales of Argosa for using
Oh yes,
in
I was
Middle
playing.
Earth
I
role
was
playing. So
mucking around with it. I mean, I
well, it works, right? Because magic is not ostentatious. That's not true. They know that they're wizards, but they're far and few between. But magic is there, but it's not like you're casting fireballs, right?
yeah. Oh
It
no, you definitely can. I mean, not in Lord of the Rings, you don't. But when I was playing it, I was just treating Moria. I wasn't really playing in the classic Tolkien style
okay.
setting. It was just a massive dungeon that the dwarves once owned, and now it's taken over by other things. And so
Did
it
your
was
players
much.
know
I
it
was
was
playing it
Moria?
much more.
Did
No,
you?
no, this was a solo. This was a
Oh,
solo
okay.
session, so it was much more of a sword and sorcery version
Oh,
of
neat.
Moria.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I guess it
Yeah,
could be right. It could be like an old ruin from some
yeah,
old culture, right?
yeah,
So it doesn't
yeah,
have to be, or the legendary dwarves if there's no dwarves in your world. Yeah, that'd be.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
peoples used to exist, the ancients, let's call them, right?
yeah.
That's
No,
kind of neat.
totally, totally, totally.
All right. So are you just playing solo right now? You have a group, or what are you playing right now?
I've mostly doing solo stuff at the moment. I do still have a group but we don't meet up as often as I would like. We used
Yeah.
to do very regular online through Roll20 and also Foundry sometimes,
Yeah.
if you know those two platforms. But I do ultimately prefer and to play in person when we can,
Hmm.
just around the table, like the sort of the old days.
Yeah.
Because because the social aspect is a big part of it.
Hmm.
And I think it's just easier. This is better, better I think when you got everybody there and you're having a few drinks and whatever. The table talk will drift off in all different directions. So it's a bit of a catch up for everybody as well.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, though, I mean, the Roll20 and all that are also perfectly fun, and you can be very regular about it, I suppose. Uh, and it's very convenient
Yeah.
because
Well, and then we
everyone just
could,
sits down and 2 hours and you get something done, and then yeah.
right? Yeah. And then you can play with people all over the world. I think that's been great for
Oh, of
me,
course.
like on
Yeah,
On Kevin's channel. And then there's other people I've played with who've been in, see, Korea, Japan, you
yeah,
know, Australia, New
yeah,
Zealand.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
cool, right? It's cool. So,
The only thing that would, and I don't know if this is
oh,
something that can be done
uh,
with microphones,
yeah.
is oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say another one, another exotic location that's not Britain or Europe. Those are the most. Uruguay. I have a friend of mine
All right.
who Uruguay, so he's in.
That's
Yeah,
mad.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
so good. And that's a major advantage of it. And other stuff like you can put ambient music on
Yeah.
and you can do the fog of war. Like there's definite advantages
Hmm.
to playing online. The only thing that I've the thing that I find though is that it's because, and maybe this is Australia thing with the connection to, because most people who are playing tend to be UK, US, whatever. Anyway, in the other half of the world. So there's always a bit of a lag with um, when I'm trying to play online with guys in those other countries, and
Huh.
you get that weird um, when you're talking together in a room, people can sort of talk at the same time, and it's not necessarily a problem. But when you're online and people talk at the same time, and because of the lag, it gets weird. And
Mm.
anyway, there's that little bit of awkwardness just that there has, and I don't know if that's something that might be able to be fixed with better microphones or something to do with the connection, or you have more channels like audio channels or something. I don't know. I'm not a tech person, but um, yeah. Anyway, that's the only thing that makes me go, oh.
Well, yeah. Well, I appreciate that you've done like on stuff on multiple platforms as well. So BTT platforms. So I've seen some stuff for Roll20 for Foundry as well. So that's good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
Albert Radio,
Albert.
I've done,
Okay.
I've played that on there as well. That's also very awesome. Well, that's getting much more technical now. It used to be pretty simple
Mhm.
um, platform, which I really loved because I'm so so not very technically literate with all the computer stuff. But anyway, they're leaning more into adding complexity, but I think you can sort of take it or leave it as you want.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
cool. Well, that's great. Yeah. I know you have like the character sheet and stuff, and you have like the way to play, but you're not going to put any like modules or anything or like
I don't know.
actual.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I don't know
So
how that works, truth be told.
yeah, me either. I don't really know either. I do know you certainly can do it. There's all sorts of modules out there where they're made for
Right.
ready for Roll20, ready for
Yeah. Yeah.
Foundry and all that. Um, I feel like I don't know how much work they are to do, and I'm more at the moment anyway, very much focused on trying to get the box set
Oh,
in
yeah.
an
That
awesome
sounds
state, sort of
right.
ready to go
Mhm.
towards the end of 2025. And I don't, and I've also got this other side project at the moment with actually with Will from Menagerie Press. We're doing a Shadow Dark adventure anthology. It's basically my adventure framework collection number one. Will's
With
converting it to
into
Shadow
Shadow
Dark,
Dark. Yeah.
and then I'm going to update that. I'm in the middle of updating the art and doing a final editing pass and all
Hmm.
that. But it's just going to be like kind of a bit of a side project to get that out. So just, and then I've got this other bits and pieces going on with. Anyway, but I just basically I don't have time. I don't feel like I don't have time to try and convert the modules to Roll20 and
Well, maybe someone
Foundry and all that.
will
But
approach you, and say, "Hey, I'd
oh
like
yeah,
to
yeah, certainly open to anything
convert
like
it."
that.
And right,
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's great. Well, I don't know. I think we've covered everything. You really
Yeah,
gave
all
me a
right, all
lot.
right.
I really feel uh, special in a way that you kind of shared about the box set from Tales of Bargosa that or the Midlands, however, yeah, Tales of Bargosa.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that's pretty
yeah.
neat. Um,
No, well, thank you
so
for
I'm
having
sure
me
you
on it.
talked around about it, but yeah, I think it was great to meet you. Great talking to you. Hopefully,
Likewise,
when
likewise.
I don't. Unfortunately, I mean, I'd love to go visit. I have still have friends. I have a good friend whose family's from Australia, and I still have like
Oh,
an old colleague who's in Melbourne. So
okay, okay.
you never know if I win the
Yeah.
lottery or
I always say that too. Oh, one day I'll get to Gen Con or I'll get
one
to
day. Yeah,
Gary
I know. One day
Con.
I'll
You
get
know, I
to.
just have never, I cannot, it's just so much to fly there. It would be, one day I am going to get to one of these big cons and just go
Yeah,
to
that'd be
play
great.
and enjoy.
Yeah,
But, not this year.
yeah.
But
One of these
yeah,
days.
thank you so much. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
the
you so much for
opportunity to
coming
chat.
on. It's
It's
great
been
to
great. It's
talking
been
to
great.
you. And so everyone, um, go check out. They can buy this, right? Can they buy this? Yep.
It is now on print on demand.
Print on
Yeah, it's on
demand.
drive through.
Okay, on
Yeah,
drive through.
yeah,
So you can get
yep.
Tales of Bargosa. You can actually go to the Pickpocket Press website and get the first edition, right? The
Not anymore. You
Not
can't. So
anymore.
I am
Oh, okay.
sold out. I am sold out of the
No, but you could
original
get
print
the
run.
rules. You can get the rules.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. LFG is on there.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then
for
you have
free.
the two adventures. There's a third one as well. And then the other products that he mentioned are on drive through. So
Yeah, actually, the cards are on there. The dice. I've got these. Although I've got a few of these Kickstarter dice left, the Oracle dice, but
yeah, they're neat.
on Game Crafter, there's the wooden version.
Oh, wow.
That's now available on GameCrafter. The trouble with these are that this is the prototype actually, but the trouble with these is it's very expensive to make custom print on demand
Wooden
wooden
dice.
dice. So they're a bit expensive, but I've put them up on there at cost. They are $20 for that set, which is a lot for
Like
dice, but I can't I can't make
people
any
buy,
more.
man, people buy crystal dice and metal dice. And so
Oh, that's true. You can
if
buy $100 dice
a
now,
dice
can't you?
collector is not going to balk at 20 bucks. I've seen some of these like precious gem dice for like, you know, hundreds of hundreds of dollars.
That's mental. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I don't know. I would like to have a nice set, but look, I've got so many dice.
you have so many
I've got
dice.
too many dice already.
Yeah, so many dice. And then I know dice is an obsession. That could be its own like YouTube channel. Dice, your obsession with dice, right? Because I mean, like I think every single Kickstarter, oh yeah, I'll get the dice. Check. Right. So many dice for like all these free league games, all these Modifius games. That's
I
cool.
totally used to have a thing where every time I made a new character, I got a new set of dice
Oh,
for that character, and so I just ended up with a lot of dice. And even
right.
now, I still got a
Yeah.
big chunk.
Yeah. I have I used to play more tabletop games, my blocks of D6s.
I have that same one in red for
Oh wow.
my Shadowrun.
Yeah, so oh yeah, Shadowrun does that too. You got the crazy DCC dice, right?
Oh yeah,
Multiple sets of those. It's funny. Anyway,
yeah.
it's great.
They're easy.
Well,
They're too easy to collect.
yeah, I know they are. All right. Well, thanks again, Steve, for coming on. And you guys go check out Tales of Argosa. Check it out. I'll plug Hobbs's. We don't have it on our YouTube channel yet, but I would like to get some Tales of Argosa now that I have a cooler understanding of it after reading the amazing book. Yeah. So, your layout guy. Sorry, I do this a lot. Something else. Your layout. You did the layout.
No, my wife.
Your wife did.
My wife
Okay.
wife
Oh,
does layout and
how does
basically
that work?
editing.
Steph and
Yeah, I
Steve.
know. It's a bit.
That's awesome.
I know, right?
That's
When we
amazing.
first met, it was like, oh
That's
god, here we
great.
go.
That's great.
Steph and Steph.
So sorry. So I apologize, Steph, because it said Steph, and I was like, oh, I guess you did the layout too. But no, that's
Yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
It's a great layout.
I will pass that
Steph
on. A lot of people
Steph
have
Grodzicki.
favorably commented on that. So
It's
yeah,
it's
very,
yeah. I mean,
very pleased.
when I was talking about on Kevin's channel, he's like, "Oh, the layout's amazing." I can my old eyes. I mean, it's nice. It's big print.
Yeah.
Everything's the colors aren't
Well, I need
glaring.
that.
It's soft
I can't
colors.
I can't read the really little stuff without the glasses. So
Yeah,
yep, yep.
but yeah, it's just nice. It's a nice book. It's a nice book, even for like the art pieces. Are your artists are very good too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's some.
I love that like black and white kind of sketch type, but that looks real.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know,
Me too.
yeah,
There's some,
got a lot of
yeah,
artists too. That's great.
amazing artists in there.
All
We're
right.
very lucky.
Well, go check out Tales of Bargosa. Go pick it up where you can, and you can check out Tales of Bargosa and Low Fantasy Gaming on Hobbs's channel for sure. I know his Twitch streams and he puts them on YouTube eventually, but maybe we'll start running some on ours. So
That'd be
it
amazing.
inspired me to check it out. To maybe not necessarily in the Midlands, but hey, in Primeval Thule or Thule, however you pronounce it, or some other worlds. That's great.
That would be super cool. Well, my pleasure. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Carl,
thank
for
you so
having me on.
much.
It's been a blast.